One of my guilty pleasures in life is Pathfinder, Wrath of the Righteous. Guilty because I've spent too much time in the game and have yet to beat it due to my acute restartitis. Pleasure because despite that I really enjoy it. And I have to say that enjoyment came as a surprise, at least partially. I played some Kingmaker, but never really got into it terribly, and surprisingly now I'm willing to give it a second try. In fact, I'm quite interested in giving it another whirl, but that isn't what this video is about. Very recently, along with a new DLC, which was part of the Season Pass, there was an announcement made that there will be an enhanced edition, with many quality of life improvements as well as additional high-level content for endgame, but more importantly, that a second Season Pass has been announced. Now, as far as we know, this second Season Pass had not been planned, and the best interpretation of it is that Wrath of the Righteous sold so well that Owlcat now have the resources to add even more DLC, and I'm not really complaining. Sure, it is a cash grab, but I think it's a good one, and I'm more than willing to pay for it. What these new DLCs will add is a mystery, but I do certainly hope it's more content related to the main story rather than the most recent one, which is a bit of a distraction in my humble opinion. But that's a separate issue. The real question is, where does Owlcat go after both the epic success of Wrath of the Righteous and its epic nature? And people's minds are torn on this. At one point in time, there was talk of a more futuristic setting set in the Pathfinder universe, but that is not known, and Owlcat will likely be preoccupied with the Season 2 Pass content for some time to come. And my contention is simple. It will be really hard to outdo Wrath of the Righteous for one primary reason, and that is the epic, or better put, mythic nature of the adventure. Rarely have we been given the opportunity to become effectively demigods in a game. Sure, in the original Baldur's Gate series, you could get some powers, and after the game is over, you can become a god. But Wrath of the Righteous really puts this in perspective because of how detailed the story of your ascension is, and the sheer variety of choices available to you in deciding how to ascend is yet another factor. Do you wish to become a demon, an angel, or even something as strange and horrifying as the swarm that walks? In short, Wrath of the Righteous is a long and epic journey that allows the player to taste true power, far more so than the vast majority of CRPGs, with a good story to boot. How do you top that? And I ask that fully knowing that there are plenty of people who would be happy with a return to the basics of lower levels and more humble origins, but I nonetheless think that most people have fallen in love with Wrath of the Righteous, and the sales were so good precisely because of things like Mythic Paths. Of course, you level up in every game, and gaining levels and prestige is a key motivator in virtually every CRPG for progression and playing the game. But Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous just does it differently, in my opinion. Any developer would have their hands cut out for them to beat this formula. But Owlcat, in particular, has set the bar incredibly high, not just for others, but in particular for themselves. What I'm essentially talking about is the issue of power creep. Because when you make a game like Wrath of the Righteous, you're also selling a vision of where you can go and what you can do in the game. And though there are some people who like low-level adventures and simply a good story, I'm willing to bet the house on the reason why Wrath of the Righteous being so popular is the story revolving around mythic power and mythic paths, which are character-defining and not just a sideshow. And if that's the reason why it has been so popular, and I'm convinced it is, then Owlcat really has their work cut out for them going forward, and any other games they might make, particularly if they want to make them within the Pathfinder setting, which they likely will. I, for one, am curious what they'll come up with, because I'm reminded about what appealed to me about Wrath of the Righteous, and not about Kingmaker. It will be interesting to see what happens. As always, thank you for tuning in. Please leave a like, share, comment, subscribe, as it really helps out the channel, and I will check you out later. Take care.